1 year ago today, I ran this exact race, and I ran it in 1 hour, 50 minutes, and 3 seconds. Today, I came back to the same course, and I ran in 1 hour, 39 minutes, and 36 seconds. That is a 10.5 minute improvement in just 1 year. And today, I'm proof this plan works. What's going on, everybody? I'm Case, and welcome back to my channel. This race, the Flower City Half Marathon, it meant a lot to me because this was a way that I could really figure out, am I improving, and if so, by how much? It was the cleanest test possible. Either I got better or I didn't. And if you're trying to improve too, I've already got videos on free training plans as well as how to build your own training plan that suits your life. And then there's the video that I last posted. It's about the exact 1% details that I changed leading into this race to get this improvement. So if you're not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button while you're watching the video and come along for the journey. But before we get into race day, it does help to understand what actually changed. And if I had to point to the biggest reason for how I improved, it started with something that honestly doesn't look impressive at all. I finally committed to running my easy days actually easy. Zone 2 meant zone 2. Not fake easy, not social media easy, easy. I trusted the work that looked boring, and it stacked up. Nothing flashy, no look at me moments, just quietly putting in the work. And that consistency is what opened up the door to the next big change. Next came volume. Last year, I averaged about 34 miles a week in my training block with a peak of about 41 miles. This year, I averaged over 51 miles a week and I peaked over 62 miles, giving me a lot more volume to work with in my training block. Nothing magical changed. There was no secret sauce. I just became a runner that could handle a much larger workload, and more work done smart, it can change the type of runner that you become. But mileage alone doesn't move the needle if you're not healthy enough to withstand it. And that's where discipline came in. I stopped using alcohol for 2 months leading up to this race. It wasn't by choice really, it just kind of happened. I just wanted to see what marginal gains I could make. I also stopped being more picky with my runs. That means if it's hot out like today, or if it's cold and rainy, I was outside as long as I was able to, which also led to some very long winter long runs that I had to do on the treadmill. And maybe the key is what I did during taper week. I had 2 7-mile runs planned and they turned into 5-mile runs because this wasn't a time for the ego to start winning. I had worked too hard for that. And for me, I'll never know if that small decision made the difference between a sub 140 and being over 140, but I like to think it certainly didn't hurt. It might have been the reason I actually got my goal. A lot of those little adjustments were the exact 1% details that I talked about in my last video. Sometimes discipline is pushing, but other times knowing when not to push it. And once all that was done, it was time to test it. Hello.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
There's our Expo specials, and you're going to orient yourself that way today.
This way? Okay, thank you.
I'll see ya.
Hello. Good, how you doing? Oh yeah. You guys don't have any deviate 3s, do you?
Not the 3s. Have you heard much about Fast Stars?
I have a pair.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I just can't hold them for a marathon.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
They're my 5K shoe.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good luck this weekend.
Thank you. Find my bib. Got a lot of stuff.
Especially when the weather starts turning around, hopefully soon.
Hello. Case, K-A-S-E.
Do you know where the community room is?
Yes, I do, ma'am.
It's in there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Same side. Oh, yes. Howdy.
Hi.
They were super friendly. The bib has been acquired.
Going into race week, I had 3 goals. My C goal was right around 143, my B goal was around 141, and my A goal, well, that was sub 140, but I wasn't really sure if that was even possible right now. Because honestly, 2 weeks ago, if you had asked me, I would have thought that was a little aggressive for where I was at. But I knew 141, that sounded realistic, it sounded possible. But the day before the race, I took a look back and I looked at the real work that I put in. The miles, the consistency, the sacrifice. That's when I really realized that sub 140, it wasn't just a possible goal. I was going for it. And at that moment, I knew it was there for mine to take. I just had to go earn it. And once that gun went off, my mindset shifted from hoping to executing. From the gun, the plan was simple. Be patient, the course is quite hilly, and don't race mile 1. Leave the emotions for later on in the race. And do what I planned to do, run my race, no one else's. And luckily for me, I was using my Garmin 970 and I updated my Pace Pro plan according to what I wanted to do. And with this, I had the paces feed right to my headset, so I knew throughout the entire race exactly where I stood. And that in and of itself was a big lift to my confidence. Because some miles I was slightly ahead and I knew, okay, maybe I'm going a little too fast. And others I was slightly behind and I knew it's time to pick up the pace. But there was one thing throughout the race that I kept repeating: keep being patient. It's not time to be dangerous yet. And eventually I started noticing the real difference that patience was giving me. It was giving me the time and the energy to be ready when it was my time to strike. And then after mile 9, everything started shifting. This was my moment. It was go time. And I started passing people one by one. And honestly, that was the best feeling of the day because it meant one thing really important. It meant I was running my race, no one else's, and I was executing my plan the way that I wanted to. And for the first time in a while, I wasn't just hanging on, I was coming alive. And now it was time to go hunting. But every race that I've ever ran has asked one question of me that's very simple to answer. When things get uncomfortable, how bad do you want it? Is that goal something you actually want, or is it just something fun to talk about? For me, mile 12 was when things got difficult. Doubt started creeping into my mind and I started wondering, how much time do I actually need to go sub 140? And for a split second, I actually thought about taking my foot off the gas. And with my legs feeling the way they do, how much deeper can I actually push? And that's when I turned back to the truth. And this, I think, is the moment that I've faced in every single race where the doubt creeps in. And I started talking to myself and saying, you belong here. This is why you ran those 60-mile weeks. This is what you trained for, so that at mile 12, you'd be ready to put the foot down, not take the foot off. Give it all you got. And whenever I got an update throughout the race that beeped 140 plus as my end time, well, I told myself one thing: be patient, it's not time, you got this. And this is when I thought about last year. I ran a 150.03, but my goal was sub 150. So every time my watch updated and I heard a 140.12, 140.13 as my predicted end finish, I thought about last year. I said, nope, not this year. I'm not missing my goal. And then, as if I needed any more motivation, the race gave me one more piece right after mile 12. Something happened. A guy had passed me. He seemed to be overly cheering, like the race was already over. His friends were on the sideline, they were filming him, so maybe it was a put on, I don't know. I was happy for him. I mean, he was running a great race. He was going under 140 as well. But that accidentally gave me something, gave me a target. So in the final turn, with 200 meters left, I made my move. I found a gear that I hadn't found since I ran track, a 4-minute per mile pace, and I gave it everything I had. As I passed him with about 150 meters to go, all I kept looking at was that clock time as it was ticking. And as I was crossing underneath it, was 1:39. I just knew I hit my goal. So I pounded my chest, I smiled, I said a little prayer to God because I knew it wasn't just me out there. I didn't accomplish this goal by myself, and I can't thank God enough for allowing me to do so. It feels good getting a new PR. So I continued to smile, I grabbed my medal, and I just felt so proud. And this wasn't just because the time that I was proud. It was because I trusted myself. I stuck to the plan throughout training. I did what I thought I needed to do, and it paid off.
Christopher Brown from Maryland.
That guy was celebrating at the corner. Hi.
Hi, are you happy?
I don't know what my official time is, but I think it's right around 1:39:30.
Congratulations to that person.
Fuck, this close to 1:38.
My training wasn't flashy, it was effective. And honestly, that lesson goes far beyond running. To accomplish a lot of great things in life, it's not gonna be the flashy moments. It's gonna be the long, boring work that adds up over time that's really gonna get you to where you wanna go. So, if you're an everyday runner watching this, you do not need elite genetics. You don't need the perfect plan. You do not need to look impressive in every single workout. You just need 2 things: consistency and patience, and enough confidence to do the simple simple things really well for a long period of time. Ordinary runners can make extraordinary progress. And I'm standing here as proof of that. And now the question becomes, what comes next? Because for me, this isn't the end. This is just a checkpoint. Because if I can go from 150 to 139 in the half marathon in just 1 year, what happens if I stay disciplined with my mileage and keep it high for another year? For me, Indianapolis is my next stop, and I'm headed back to the marathon distance. Because Boston, it's still the dream. Just remember, no matter your pace, you can have an elite mindset. And what I tell myself, it's simple. Have the mindset of a puma. When it attacks, it's not random. It's patiently thought out. It's dangerous. In case you're new to the channel, I'm building a community of everyday runners. And if you're in, subscribe. We'd love to have you. And if you want the exact details for how I made this progress, check out my video, The 1% Details to a Faster Marathon. It's right there. And I'll see you in the next one.